In the previous video, I walked you through the configuration for the initial setup of this project, but I forgot to mention where you can get the data. So in the description of this video, you'll find a link to a GitHub page, and in there you can just copy and paste the data inside of the data.ts folder, file inside of the data folder, which have been added to the app folder, okay? So create a data folder inside of the app folder and a data.ts file, copy and paste the data, and let's implement the accordion. Since I'm using Next.js, the first thing that I have to do is to transform this component into a client component. Why? Because components inside of the app folder, remember that this is the app router, are server components by default, and if you need to work with events and React hooks, you have to transform to convert this component into a client component. You do that by using the useClient directive. Now I want to import use state from React, and I want to import the data. Let's export the component, export default function accordion. For now, I'm going to return just hello world, and I have to import, of course. Import accordion at app UI accordion native, and here we can render the component, right? So it's working. Now let's create the component, the accordion component. So I will keep this div because this is going to be a wrapper for the entire component, and inside of the accordion we have a button which allows the user enable and disable multi-selection. I want to create another div here for holding all of the items, individual items or questions, and here I want to interpolate some JavaScript. That's why I'm adding the curly braces, and I want to map this array. This is the data that we have, right? We have objects, and each object contains an ID, question, and answer. So for each item, I want to render a details element. And first thing I want to do is to add the key prop, which will be which will be equals to item.id, and here I want to add the summary, interpolate the question, item.question, and I want to do something else here. I want to add a paragraph, and inside of this paragraph I want to add the answer, item.answer. Okay, let's see the result, and you can see that browsers will add a triangle here, and you can click the question and the answer is expanded, but I don't want to use this icon. I want to remove it and make the accordion prettier, right? So I'm going to add some CSS classes here, some tailwind classes, and I'll pause the video while I do that. Okay, I have added the tailwind classes, but I left I think 2 classes to add at the end. Why? Because I want to get rid of this marker here. So by default, the summary element is a list item, is rendered with a display property set to list item. And to get rid of the mark, I can set this to block, and you can see that the arrow disappeared, but I want to add something else here in span and simulate a button, right? Position absolute and right 0. Let's see the result, check the result. Okay, so this way we are simulating the addition of a custom button. And by default, the items are not connected, so multi-selection is enabled, as you can see, but we want multi-selection to be disabled by default. And how do we connect these elements? We have to give them the same name prop, or in the context of HTML, we would have to give them the same name attribute. That's where use state come to play. I don't know. Okay, forget about the English. Const name and set name equals to use state, and we want them initially to be grouped, right? Name, equals to name. Right now they are grouped, and I have to demonstrate this behavior on Google Chrome because Firefox has a bug, and even adding a name, it doesn't work as expected, and you are still able to select multiple items. So here in Google Chrome you can see that it's already working, but in Firefox it made no difference, right? That's the downside of this approach. And now we have to allow the user to click the button and toggle between multi-selection and single selection. And let's do the following here. First, we can change this here to be dynamic, right? So if we have a name, meaning they are connected and multi-selection is disabled, then we want to enable multi-selection, else we want to disable multi-selection, right? And we have to add a on-click prop. Let's call the toggle multi-selection function, and we have to create this function toggle multi-selection, and this function will do what we want, or to remove the name, we want to add the name, or to remove the name, right? To connect or disconnect them. We can check if there is a name. So if there is a name, then we want to remove the name, set the name to an empty string, and if not, we want to add the name, right? And allow, and so with this we allow multi-selection, and with this we disallow, we disable, with this we enable, and with this we disable multi-selection. Let's check the result. Now if we click, again I have to do that on Google Chrome. Right now multi-selection is disabled, right? But if I click the button, I think I forgot to do something in here. or maybe I made a mistake. So if we have a name, oops, yeah, I was supposed to call set name, sorry for that. Set name to an empty string, and here we want to set name to this, right? Now it should be working. It should be working. Okay, so we can enable and disable mode selection. Again, it doesn't make any difference in Firefox, but here, as you can see, mode selection is disabled right now, but if I click the button, then the name changes here, right? And multi-selection is disabled. Okay, that's it. That's how you can implement an accordion using the native details and summary HTML elements.